Alright, welcome back to my Realignment 2028 series. This is the start of our second season, going into 2029. In case you missed the last episode, biggest news, our ace, Jackson Ferris, out for 6 months, going to miss most of the year, if not the entire season. So, brutal injury during spring training. I went through our roster at the end of last episode, but um, have made a few interesting waiver claims. You can see a bunch of them here. We did lose Ronzi Contreras to waivers as well. I'm not too broken up about that. He was out a 1 year kind of prove it deal with us, and I don't really mind seeing him go. The big name that I do want to highlight that was available on waivers was Michael Ciani, who, if you remember, won a Gold Glove last year in center field. Yeah, just had great fielding numbers, and he looks like he maybe declined a little bit um, in terms of ratings, but still has a 70 rating in center field. Still has great defensive ratings. We're gonna pay him $4 million a year, but that's fine for someone who's an elite center fielder. So to make room for him on the roster, I did waive Luis Lara, who should hopefully pass through waivers, and set Byron Churio down to start the year in the minors, which is probably for the best anyway, because he's still only 23 and should really be ideally playing every day instead of being our backup outfielder, which is what he was slotted to be at the end of last episode. So um, our owner thinks that has some high expectation for us as we start the season. Should at least reach the playoffs. And if we look at preseason predictions, they also think that we're a playoff team, apparently, with 86 wins. Just barely a playoff team if the rest of the division is as bad as they think we're going to be. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'll be happy to go at least 500 with the roster we have, but we'll see. So we'll go ahead and start simming here. Again, roster is 30 players until we get to May 1st. I'll probably cut in with any interesting updates that happen before then, any injuries. Yeah, otherwise I'll see you guys at the May 1st cut down to 26 on the active roster. Just a brief cut in here in the middle of April. We're 5-4, so not too bad of a start so far. Just wanted to point out the draft pool got revealed today, and at the top of the list is a name that might be familiar, Tommy Visconti, who, if you recall, was someone that we were looking at drafting in last year's draft. Looks like he was drafted by the Nationals in the fifth pick and failed to sign with them. So we've got another chance at him this year. We do pick second overall in the draft this year. We, have a chance at him. Does that mean that New York will take him and then maybe fail to sign him? We'll see. But yeah, we'll keep simming along here. Off to a decent start. So let's see if that continues through the rest of April. All right, a quick injury update here. Josh Noth, who was one of our Rule 5 picks, is out for 8 to 9 weeks with back spasms. I went ahead and just threw him on the 60-day IL just because, I would rather have the 40-man spot, and he's going to be out for just about 60 days anyway. Cooper Kinney also has a sprained elbow. It's a 3-week injury. It is just a minimal injury, but I'd rather just rest him and, not risk aggravating that any further, which can happen sometimes with these day-to-day injuries. So in their place, I'm going to call up Alex McFarland, who's doing decent in AAA so far, and we're also going to call up Luis Guanipa, who's doing decent in AAA so far as well. Quick AAA update too. Our top prospect is Jose Bello, and he's had a bit of a slow start to the season in AAA. He's going to stay there through at least the start of May, and then I'll kind of evaluate and see how he's doing then. If he's doing well, he'll slot into our rotation. If he still needs a little bit of development or he's struggling a little bit, numbers roughly similar to this or a little worse, I'll probably leave him down there for now. So, that's the update. And in terms of playing time, we don't really have many people who can play a good first base, so Nolan Jones will likely slot in and be our everyday first baseman, and then I'll slot in someone else at DH, maybe Yanquiel Fernandez or whoever's hot with the bat right now, Alex Mooney maybe, and just have Zanatello play everyday second base. So I'll give a full update in May, but just wanted to give that brief injury update as well. Another quick injury update as we are 12-7 so far in April. Let's see if that continues. Jack Sawinski out for 3 weeks with a sprained ankle. With how he's been playing, I don't know if we're going to miss him all that much. He'll get thrown on the 10-day IL, and I will go and bring up Byron Churio, who's doing pretty decent at AAA to start the season. So we'll tweak our outfield lineup a little bit and roll with that. I'll see you in May. It is now May 1st, and we are actually a decent team. 14-12 so far, which is good enough to be first in our division. Didn't expect that to start May. Nolan Jones actually on a 10-game hitting streak as well. Let's go over our team overview really quick. I mean, we don't really excel at a lot of things except our defensive efficiency is first and our zone rating is third. So pretty good defense. You can see our offense is decent. I mean, we're roughly average offense. Fifth in batting WAR, which is nice. Our starters ERA, bullpen ERA, FIP, pitching WAR, all not too impressive so far. But I haven't been too disappointed with our pitching considering. I do need to tweak this slightly. Our rotation so far actually has been headed up by Tyler Anderson, who has had 4 quality starts for us. You can see his numbers there. You wouldn't expect that again from his stats, but he's putting up numbers. So that's kind of what we hoped for when we signed him. Ditto Trevor Rogers. I mean, he's putting up solid starter numbers. Trey Gibson doing fine. Montero doing fine. Snelling struggling a little bit to start the season, but I have faith that he'll turn it around. He had a good year last year, so he started the year as our number 1 in the rotation, currently moved down to the number 5, but again, that's kind of subject to change. Sinja is still doing well in the closer role, hasn't given up an earned run so far this year. That's exactly what you want from your closer. Jansen Keisel has been good in relief as well. I'll probably move him to the other setup role here along with Henry Baez, who's got a sub-2 ERA. Shane Baz has struggled to start the season. 9.28 ERA is not good. I did try to send him down to the minors. He refused to get sent down, so I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with him. Probably just pitch him in long relief for now. I mean, that's kind of all I can do. We'll just have to pitch him in long relief and hope that his numbers pick up. I mean, that is over only 10 innings pitched, so somewhat of a small sample size, but 9.28 ERA is not ideal. So we'll see. We'll see how he does. No one really off to an amazing start so far this year, but a lot of really just solid performances. Leading the team in WAR is Alex Mooney, despite not being an everyday starter for us. He's only starting versus lefties, just given the splits. It makes more sense to, I want Santana in for his defense, and he's not going to play center or catcher. So, the rest of our team has been hot against righties, but Mooney against lefties has crushed so far. Only 8 games, but 200 OPS plus. Fernandez is a nice surprise too. Again, very small sample size, only 24 plate appearances, but has an OPS over 1,000, so he's definitely justifying his inclusion on the big league roster. Speaking of which, we cut our roster down to 26 players, and Henry Lane was one of the pitchers we sent down, along with who was our other pitcher? Might even be in Double A now. Iriarte. Had a disastrous outing right before it was time to cut the roster down, and he kind of was the odd man out in our bullpen. He might get sent back up depending on how he does to start the year in AAA, but we'll have to see. And for our 2 offensive players, I sent Churio back down, and Guanipa. I mean, both of those guys probably should just be getting regular playing time in the minors at this point. Connor Griffin would be joining them most likely, except he's put up good numbers so far in the majors and is also a Rule 5 pick, so I don't even have that option if I wanted to. Our top prospect, Jose Bello, still struggling a bit in the minors, has an ERA over 5 now, so we'll see if he can bring that down, maybe look to improve, develop a little bit more before we look to bring him up to the majors. Our rotation's doing decent without him. He might look to slot into that 5th slot if Snelling continues to struggle, but so far pretty happy with our start to the season, especially considering our ace is still out for another 5 months. Hopefully his recovery goes well. We'll have to see. But I'm pretty happy with our offense overall. No one, with the exception of Bo Naylor, who I signed largely because he put up pretty decent offensive numbers, and he has been an average catcher so far, below average, I'd say. And not doing much defensively either. We might look to replace him if the season goes on. Like, if we are buyers at the trade deadline, might look to upgrade at the catcher position. That seems like an obvious area. And, also Bo Naylor, we only have him signed through this season. How is Selvage doing for Cleveland? He's kind of crushing it through 5 starts. So that hurts a little bit, but, it's still early in the season too. Naylor has a chance to turn it around. So we'll see. Sanoha doing well. Griffin, Zanatello was off to a super hot start to the season. Has cooled down a little bit, but we just have a solid all-around roster at the moment. Good enough for roughly 500 ball. If we can stay a few games above 500, we may even be able to sneak in as a playoff team this year. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll cut in again if there's anything interesting. Otherwise, it'll probably be start of June. I'll see you then. All right, so several injury updates here as we move through May. We are now under 500, but somehow still in first in the division. Very weak division this year, and I'm okay with that. So we'll see if we can pull things together and get back above 500. Excel Correa, who was a reliever for us, out for 4 weeks with an oblique strain. Ciani had a moderate injury. It was a week long. I just went ahead and stuck him on the 10-day IL. Again, don't want to aggravate that any further. Ditto for Sonoha and his 2-week sprained wrist. Zawinski still working off that sprained ankle, unknown return date. I did call up Byron Churio again, and I'll have to figure out. Sonoha just got injured, so we'll need someone else. And I, again, don't want to use the last 40-man spot unless I have to. Let's see who's been doing well in the minors that is actually on our 40. Well, Cutter Coffee is, and he can play third, which is great. And has actually pitched decently as well. Played a little bit already this year. It got sent down, I believe, but has done well in limited time in the minors so far. Another option we could explore is Ben Williamson, back on our team. We claimed him off of waivers. He is out of option years and also not on the 40 right now. So Juanipa is another option. He's been doing just okay. Yeah, I guess just to avoid adding any more people to the 40 man at the moment, I'll just bring up Cutter Coffee, and we'll likely have to do some lineup adjustment because I believe that Sonoha was our starting third baseman, just against righties though. So let's see. Oh, Garcia's going off a bit against righties. Okay, so that deserves, Naylor's struggling. I'm gonna do this and slot him in as the starter with Naylor every other game. And then who is our Alex Booney would be our best third base option at the moment, and we'll have Cutter Coffee backing him up. And then versus lefties, Chorio actually doing well against lefties, and maybe you should slot in as a starter there over someone like Nolan Jones. Yeah, let's do this. So we're going to have Churio play left field. Actually, we're going to have Churio play right field. Fernandez playing left. Churio's a better defender. And set position right field. Fernandez will play backup, and Mooney will be our DH with Jones as the backup. And then Coffee, just a little worse than Acuna when it comes to playing third base. So he'll play backup, and we'll get him playing time like every fifth game. Why not? Okay. So that's our brief injury update. Yeah, not much else to say. Let's see if we can pull things together and get back above 500. Alright, I know I just stopped for an injury update, but only one game later, and we have another big one to report. Tyler Anderson has a herniated disc, out for 6 weeks. The injuries just keep coming. So we need someone that will be able to slot into the rotation as Cutter Coffee. I haven't actually set his role yet even. This could be the time to bring up Jose Bello, but he struggled again in his last start. Was starting to show signs of improvement with a positive start in his last start, but 7 earned runs over 2 1/3 innings. I'd like to see that be a little better before bringing him up to the majors. So who else do we have? Gavin Jones performing well. Yeah, he's also showing signs of improvement, which is good. Yeah, let's check our FIP here, and not versus left. Yeah, Gavin Jones has the second highest FIP other than Ivran Romero. I don't even know who that is, but good for you, Ivran. Keep going off. Yeah, Gavin Jones, so he'll at least be brought up to the majors, and Andy's already on the 40 man. Do I want him to start over, let's see, Waters could potentially start. He was starting in the minors. We've also got McFarland, I believe, who can start, having a decent year so far. Shane Baz has struggled so far, but can technically start. And then Carlson Reed can kind of start. Keisel, yeah, all right. Let's give Gavin Jones a shot. And in terms of FIP, yeah, Robbie Snelling actually. Man, all right. Well, we're adjusting the rotation anyway, so we'll just sort by FIP. Snelling, Montero, Rogers, Gibson, and then Gavin Jones slotting in as our fifth starter. And he's young. He'll only go 85 pitches to start. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Update to come soon. Hopefully we bounce back and go over 500, but now we're down one of our top starters for the year. Anderson was having a pretty good season so far by his standards, I'd say. Sub 4 ERA and on pace for 4 WAR, which is, better than expected, I'd say. So, yeah, we'll see how things go with this rotation. Wish us luck. And the injuries keep piling up. Trey Gibson, who had started to struggle a bit, but still one of our starters, out 4 to 5 weeks with elbow inflammation. So our starters are dropping like flies here. We may have to use a 40-man spot on another starter, depending on Bello. I mean, his last 2 starts have been good. Now, does that mean he's ready to come up? At this point, with the amount of injuries we had, I'd lean towards yes, unless there's someone who's just really wowing in the minor leagues. And, I mean, Brian Bautista's doing well, but most of that has been in relief. So let's let him cook a little bit in the minors. And, yeah, I mean, Bello has options still. This is his last option here, but yeah, we'll see what he's got. He's also unhappy that he's still in the minors, which, I mean, fair, but that could be bringing his play down a little bit. Bello will slot into the 5th rotation spot. Gavin Jones did well in his first start. Speaking of injuries, and as a quick minor league update too, kind of both rolled into one, I forgot to point out Scott Sharpton started the year on an absolute tear in A+, and then fractured his finger and has been out since April. Hopefully he comes back strong. He has lost a little bit of potential while he's been injured. You don't love to see that. In terms of some of our other top prospects, we just saw Bello. Our only other top 100 prospect is Eddie Rainville. He's, doing all right at rookie league ball so far. His control actually has dropped from 35 to 30. Oh, no. That's potential control. Yikes. That's not what you want to see. I may even have to, adjust this. Yeah, in fact, let's do this, because he has 70 stamina and he needs control if he's going to be viable at all. So, yeah, come on, Eddie, pull it together. Ivan Contreras, he's lost a lot of potential as well. I mean, that's not what you want to see. Oh my God, he's some brutal losses there since we drafted him. Yeah. Well, he might have been. No, he was a round 6 draft pick and has dropped all the way down from a 4.5 star potential to a 2 star potential. Sorry about the awkward cut there, but yeah, he's struggling. Struggling both in terms of potential, and his numbers have not been great in A ball so far. So, yeah, I don't love to see that. In terms of some of our other prospects, yeah, Craig Holman. I don't want to see that. All right, DeJesus at least has started off the year strong. Only 14 games in, but that's what we like to see. Ditto Justin Grant. Um, Brady Gerhard, who was our second round pick, doing well at A. Not amazing, but well enough. He will hopefully get promoted here by the end of the year. Slade Caldwell was a waiver claim, doing well in Double A, and I consider him a decent prospect at the moment. Steven Martinez started the year at A plus, was doing well, so he's been bumped up to Double A. Struggling a little bit in terms of WAR. I also have cross-trained him a little bit so he can play left or right field because I like to have options. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, let's just see if there's anyone else that's really like tearing it up right now. Chorio doing well in Double A. I have him, kind of bouncing between Double A and Triple A at the moment. I lock certain guys in place and then just let the AI set up the rest. So he's kind of moved back and forth depending on where other guys have been. Eddie Renders, who we got in a trade, has been doing pretty well. Might earn a promotion to AAA soon. None of our other prospects in AAA are wowing me enough to say they need to be brought up to the majors immediately. Sawinski's also back from injury, and yeah, he had struggled in the majors, so he got a little bit of rehab time down here. It might be time to call him back up as well. Yeah, and let's look at A plus. Yeah, actually, most of our prospects are going to be at rookie ball, so let's just look at this real quick. Just doing a quick skim to see if anyone. Glenn Colson so far. 3 saves, 0 ERA. That's what you want from your reliever. Joe Soliday, 2 saves, 8 innings pitched. So just still early in the season for the Arizona League. Anthony Pack doing well. He's 22. I mean, I would hope he'd be doing well in rookie ball, but he's also a little too underdeveloped to play in A ball right now, so I'd like to bump him up as soon as possible just so he can keep developing there. And Amari Matthews is probably the best hitter on the team so far, an 11th round pick for us. So yeah, we'll see how that continues. Quick prospect update / injury update, and yeah, we'll have to see. Hopefully Bello can put it together in the majors and stick in the rotation, because I'd like him to be our second ace alongside Jackson Ferris, who is still 4 months away from recovery. So maybe we'll get him by the end of the season, but we'll see. Yeah, and Zanatello, this day-to-day injury is just for 1 day, so he'll take a day off and be fine. So yeah, we'll see how the rest of May goes. Hopefully I will not have to make any more injury updates, and I'll see you again in June. Well, we almost made it through May, but not quite, as Johan Fran Garcia, who is our starting / backup catcher, out for 3 to 4 weeks with a bone bruise on his wrist. And I'm glad that I left a spot open 40-man because we don't have a third catcher on the 40-man currently. This could be Gallies. This could be Cerda. I think it's going to be Cerda. We had him on our team last year. He did okay, but he will be the backup. Bo Naylor kind of gets the starting spot back by default. Let's see if he can pull things together a little better than he had been to start the year. Yeah, well, let's see if we can make it to June now. I'm tired of these injuries. It's kind of absurd how many we've had already in the season. So we'll see. June can't come soon enough. Well, we almost made it through May. Literally on the last day, second to last day of the month, um, Yankel Fernandez has some kind of knee injury. We don't know the severity yet. He's done pretty well to start the season, and hopefully that's not serious. Um, Let me sim ahead just a game or two, and we'll see live here what we're dealing with as we win 1-0. Nice. Gavin Jones putting together a great game. 7 1/3 scoreless. He's done really well since coming up over 4 starts. Every start has been solid. Yeah. All right. Yankel Fernandez, as Correa's eligible to come off the IL, we'll put him on a rehab assignment for now. Still diagnosis pending. All right. Ow. Okay. Well, that's his season basically. Broken kneecap, out for 5 to 6 months. Brutal. Yeah. So, as Zawinski hurt, he probably would have been the call up in place of Fernandez. So, yeah, I guess we go with Guanipa. Yeah, and we'll see how severe Zawinski's injury is. Man, it just doesn't stop. Encarnacion has struggled. He's actually been bumped down to AA because, you know, he was really struggling at AAA. He's not happy about that, but, do better, I guess. Yeah, so Guanipa will come up. I'll adjust the lineups in a second. Let's go over where our team is at as we are at June 4th. Rotation has really come together. As what are we at? Yeah, our starting ERA is up to 5th in the league, which is great. Our batting has dipped a little bit, but we're 32-25 and first in the division. This is a good team, I guess. It's a team that would contend for a wild card spot potentially. As it is right now, with the rest of our division being pretty subpar, with the exception of the Blue Raiders, who are 4 games above 500. Yeah, we have a real chance to make the playoffs this year, and that's exciting and unexpected. My goal going into the season was to go 500, and so far we are more than exceeding that, even with the litany of injuries we've had so far to start the year. Snelling has been great. If we could sort by WAR, he is our top pitcher. Yeah, he struggled a little bit at the start of the year, but has put together a very solid campaign so far. Ditto Montero, he's got an ERA under 3. You love to see that. Trevor Rogers, almost 5 ERA. He's probably our worst starting pitcher at the moment, but still not awful overall. And then our 2 AAA call-ups, Gavin Jones and Jose Bello. Limited time so far, but Bello's been great in his 2 starts. Won 6 innings in both, allowed 2 earned runs and 1 earned run. That's exactly what I was hoping for when calling him up. And then Gavin Jones, has done everything we've asked of him and more. Sinja in the closer role has been great. He's put together, .8 WAR. He is just above 2 ERA for the season. Second in our team and 5th behind Bello. I've gone ahead and moved McFarland to the setup role because he's done really well so far in a little bit of limited time. And Shane Bass has kind of turned things around a little bit too. His ERA is still a bit high, but that's mainly due to his poor start to the season. Yeah, he had an awful April and a really good May. So here's hoping that May is more indicative of what he's going to put together. We could maybe even see him in the rotation before all is said and done. He's only got 35 stamina, but yeah, he started some games last year. He might start some games for us too, especially if Trevor Rogers continues to struggle a little bit. And in terms of batting, leading our team in WAR is Alex Mooney, which is a little bit of a surprise. He's, he did well last year and is on pace to surpass that this year, despite he platoons a little bit. He is not starting for us currently versus right-handed pitching, is starting versus left-handed pitching, but also slots in as the backup. And we may have to adjust some of these numbers too, because Coffey was out hitting Mooney. He's no longer doing that, so these lineups will be tweaked slightly. Second in WAR, Cooper Kinney. That's not a surprise. And in fact, before I forget, let's go ahead and look at our American League fan voting update. And currently, Cooper Kinney is second among first basemen in votes so far. The only other person on the Athletics getting votes is Sinja, who, deserves it, honestly. He's had a really strong start to the season. I hope he makes it in the All-Star game. Fernandez is out for the season. Still brutal. Siani has come in and done, not only putting up great fielding rate, his fielding's actually been a little disappointing from what we'd expect from him in center field. He did kind of lose a step, but his bat has been good, and he's still on pace for 3.5 WAR, which is a perfectly fine season for me. Zanatello doing good. Santana down a little bit from actually on pace to put up roughly the same WAR, but his OPS is down from last year. So, and Connor Griffin doing all right for being only 23 years old. Naylor continues to struggle. His OPS has gone up a tad. He had a good game against Detroit. Let's see if he does more of that. Sawinski getting hurt too is rough, because he was doing quite well in AAA. He struggled to start the season, so I was kind of hopeful that I could bring him back up, but we'll have to see. Dylan Lesko was one of our waiver claims who struggled to start the year. Was he hurt and then got hurt again? No, yes. So he was hurt in April, out for 6 weeks, then appeared to have just come back from that injury, pitched 3 times, and is out again. So brutal. Injuries are not escaping our minor league team either. Speaking of the minors, not a whole lot to update here in terms of promotions. Brian Bautista continues to do well. He will probably be the next man up. Maybe even has earned himself a call-up regardless. With people like Waters and Knowles struggling, I might look to bring him up sooner rather than later, especially since we have 2 open 40-man spots. So we'll see what I decide to do there. Also still incredibly hot, Slade Caldwell won Player of the Month for the AA League, the Southern League, which earns him a promotion to AAA. He put up 2 WAR and over 1,000 OPS in 25 games. So he's back up in AAA. He's kind of bounced a little bit between the 2 levels, but he should be set up to do well in AAA, and he could maybe see some playing time this season too. Chorio doing well in AA. He's 24 years old though. He is more depth than anything, unfortunately, at this point. Martinez continues to struggle a little bit. I don't think many of our other players have moved around too much. Um, let's look at A plus. Sharpton is back from injury and doing quite well. He'll probably get moved up here to double A before too long. Probably give him another month at A plus or so, just because he is coming back from injury and because I want to see these ratings go a little bit higher. But he's progressing decently well. This is kind of, unfortunately, where he started as a kind of 4-star potential with some development, already 21 years old when we drafted him. Just kind of falls off a little bit, has that potential where he'll probably peak around 3-star potential at the best, which is not your most ideal scenario for your 8th overall pick, but it's not the worst scenario either, right? He's not going to bust out completely, so it I don't hate the pick still. Gerhard doing decent, and then in our rookie league ball, we've got a few guys that are doing well, not quite well enough to be promoted, although DeJesus on a tear. Yeah, I still want to see these ratings come up a little bit higher before promoting him to A, but he's getting there, and if he continues putting up numbers like this, he'll be promoted sooner rather than later, which is great because he's a guy that kind of, was a little bit of a riskier pick, had high potential, low overall when we drafted him, but has already started to develop and, seen his potential fall off a little bit, but still not bad. And then Pack Jr., I think pointed him out earlier. He's already 22, but doing well in ACL. Probably look to bring him up fairly soon to A. Hopefully he'll continue to develop. Fugate doing well so far. Grant doing well so far. Lots of guys that just are having solid years, and hopefully we'll just continue to develop there. Our pitching, Colson's probably been our best pitcher so far. 12th round pick. Could maybe see A ball as well this year. So we'll have to see. We've got the draft combine in 3 days, so I'm not even going to bother pausing it, I think. Although I do want to adjust some of these lineups, actually. So let me do that real quick, and then I'll get back to you in 3 days. Hopefully we don't have any injuries in the next 3 days until the draft combine. All right. Zewinski tore his PCL, it turns out, and is out for the rest of the season. So yet another loss. He basically slotted in as a backup infielder or outfielder at this point, but you'd prefer to have that depth than not, especially for a guy that's only on a 1-year deal. So kind of throwing that money out the window now, but you can't help it if guys get hurt, I guess. So what are you gonna do? Not ideal. Torin scared me. He also has an injury, but his is just a hand contusion, out for 3 days. And he's also just AAA depth at this point. Everyone else, Noth has an unknown amount of time to recover, but Anderson's only 2 weeks away. Gibson's only 2 weeks away. Garcia's 1 to 2 weeks away. So we're gonna start getting some of these guys back. Ferris, still a ways away, and obviously Fernandez and Sawinski out for the season. But we are to the first year draft combine. I haven't looked at this yet, so you'll be seeing this as I see it. And again, we do have the 2nd overall pick this year. And one name I want to look for real quick is if he's in the... He is our old friend Tommy Visconti, who ended up not signing with the Nationals and returned to college and came back even better this year, honestly. His overall and potential has gone up. He's only gotten better since the last draft, according to our scout. This is the type of player who I would definitely, you know, like to take with the second overall pick. Someone who's kind of developed already. He is already 22, but the 4.5 star potential, in addition to being already developed, he could probably play in triple or double A to start his season. I mean, maybe start him in A, but yeah, he would be a great second pick. I guess let's see. Well, first I'm going to add him to the combine watch list because we already have a strong relationship with him, but still, we're going to make it stronger because there's a very decent chance that he becomes our second overall pick, I'd say. And if we look at our batting draft ratings, he does have a high work ethic as well, which is what you want to see. We've got some decent looking pitchers in here as well. Chuck Nasty, as Jesse Lewis has the nickname Chuck Nasty for some reason. I love how the nicknames work out in this game sometimes. Kevin Davison, oh my, he's got a 6-pitch mix and is slightly developed already. The control again is worrisome. He's like our old friend Eddie Rainville down here in the minors, but he's interesting. And you don't see guys with the 6-pitch mix that often, and they all have super high potential. So he's very intriguing. Would I take him with the second overall pick? Maybe not, but he's at least worth keeping an eye on. If he somehow fell to the second round, I would snatch him up. I do want to see in mock draft land. Okay, so Kobe Schrader is slotted to go first. Oh, because he is a legit two-way prospect. Yeah, the two-way prospects are always interesting. They're very tempting, and he's got 85 power potential as well. So he's an Otani type who could slug and potentially pitch. He's got 3-pitch mix. His fastball has 90 potential. That's a very tempting pick. Brandon McFarland, on the other hand, I'd rather have Schrader or Visconti. Either of those guys. Strapodopoulos, that is a name right there, and that is a pitcher right there who I don't mind at all. Also slightly developed, could play an ace straight away, has a 5-pitch mix. Yeah, there's some very interesting guys in this year's draft. Okay, so if Schrader is in the combine, I would like to take a closer look at him. He is not, at least from what I can see. What about Strapodopoulos is in the combine? Okay. Right, and we'll add these guys to my short list as well. Strupp is a closer with really good personality traits, but still just a closer with 2-pitch mix. Bobby Ools looks pretty decent. If he's around in like the second round, I wouldn't mind him. Who else we got here? Angelo Marin or Angelo? Probably Angelo. Dan Lillard, he looks okay. Pat DeRusso, he also looks okay. He's a little bit more developed and is 20 years old. Macho Man. Alright, let's look at our batting mix. batters. Catcher with, I don't love his avoid Ks. I do, and his defense is not great. He's got a really good personality trait. Mix. Kevin Bates, if he had better personality traits, he would be in the running, I think, but low leader, low work ethic, and yeah, he's not someone who I'd want to take the second overall pick. See, this is hard because, we kind of have our pick of guys other than whoever they decide to pick first. I would have loved to check out Schroeder some more, but that's not going to happen. Keith Mills, I mean, he looks okay, but not fourth overall pick worthy. Yeah, some of the projections are a little weird, and I'm sure some of it is due to our scout versus OSA, how they kind of project things differently. The Loveless Academic Magnetic Program. All right. Yeah, sorry. I had to cut that. The Loveless Academic Magnet Program just threw me for a loop there. No, I had to shut off my air conditioning. All right, let's see what else we got in the draft pipeline. Why is Kyle Reed? Did Kyle Reed not get drafted? No, this is still showing some of last year's prospects. Okay. If we look at overall, Brian Miller. Now, that's a name that looks interesting. Yeah, he is 22, but yeah, I feel like catcher is always a position I struggle to fill. Definitely the case this season. And, I think I want to target guys here too. Look at guys in the draft combine who have a chance of going at the second overall pick, but really, at the moment, I feel like it's between Visconti and Strapadopoulos. And of course, he's TJ Strapadopoulos with the nickname EJ. Okay. Why? Also, with a last name like Strapadopoulos, how do you end up with the nickname EJ? I don't try to, make sense of these nicknames, but it's fun if you do, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I really like his look. Along with Visconti, who, I liked last year, he just didn't make it to our pick at number 8. Yeah, Crosby, John Harns. Yeah, only 3-star potential. And Crosby, we looked at Kaner Gomes. I mean, he looks solid. He would be also someone to potentially target in the second round, and he could potentially fall to the second round, I think. Yeah, why not? And Kyle McClinton, he's got decent defensive ratings, not much power, but is a little bit developed, is only 21. Yeah, I don't hate him either. He would be a later round pick potentially. Pitchers, let's see. I do want to see pitching draft. Okay, and we'll see how many of these guys. Tim Flowers, yeah, he doesn't have the stamina to start currently. Matos has technically 3 pitches, but really only 2. Mark Maynard is 22. I mean, he looks okay. let's look at potential when it comes to pitching. Jesse Lewis, we looked at already. He would still potentially have a way to go, but I don't hate him. Jim Strupp, Brandon Todd, Pat DeRusso, I think we looked at. Yeah, Macho Man. Jose Garcia. Brandon Kelly. Oh yeah, was he the one with the 6-pitch mix? I mean, he's got 6 pitches obviously, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, Davison had 6 pitches as well. Okay. Yeah, I mean, anytime you have 6 pitches, I think that's going to be interesting. How many of these guys still need to get added to? I think everyone. To the short list. All right. I think I'll probably target around 12 guys again. Do a roughly even mix of pitchers and batters. Travis Pierce. He looks okay. Isaiah Brown. Gene Fleming. Only 18. Only has 3 pitches. I'm being kind of picky with a lot of these guys. Most of them are not guys I would necessarily mind drafting super high. Well, by super high, I mean within the first 5 or 6 rounds. Super high. Davison is tempting, but again, it would be Strapidopoulos or Visconti. Probably leaning towards Visconti just because he is more developed, even though he's also a little older. Yeah, he could come in and play right away for us, almost. Maybe, be only a year or 2 away. Okay, so let's look at Velo. Yeah. Okay. Batting draft. Here's a question. Are there any other pitchers who have potential? Contact potential. No, not really. Okay. Let's look at power potential. Roy Wooten is interesting. I mean, just solely due to his power. That's always going to be an intriguing skill set. Juan Gaona. Again, very high power guy. I don't hate that. Are there any elite defensive types? Hector Palacios. Ooh, I don't like personality. Outfield, let's see. Caleb Burton has good hitting ratings and good defensive ratings, and durable. I think that's enough to put him on the watch list there. What are we up to now? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's do one more. We've got 4 pitchers. Let's throw another pitcher on there. Kevin Dingus is a great name. All right, let's look and see stuff potential. 95 stuff potential is, yeah, he could be a great reliever, but also only 35 control. Let's Let's look at movement potential too. Richard Couture. It's harder to evaluate relievers, I think. Joe Gerziak. I like him. He doesn't have great personality ratings, but he could play at A, almost a double A to start. Yeah, I like him. He'll probably go decently high, but all right. Yeah, relationship is strong with Visconti, and accuracy is very high. I wonder if it's worth removing him and adding somebody else instead. But that relationship can go up to very strong, which means he would be easier to sign and potentially give us more slot room. I don't know. Let's just go ahead and do this for now. An important message. Okay, Brandon Todd. Did we look at him? He looks okay. Strapidopoulos, yeah, he looks good. Travis Pierce, he looks all right. Roman Barteau. Yeah, that's an interesting one right there. Yeah, let's throw him on the watch list as well. Visconti, we know. Hardy, sure. Miller, I believe, is already on the watch list. Yeah. Johnson. He looks interesting. Gaona, I think, is on there just solely due to his power. And then Daly. Gary Daly. I don't need to add him on. All right. That's more than enough on the watch list. And let's see. Brian Miller, already at very easy signability for us, but only average relationship. Yeah. Let's stick with this. I don't think there's any major notes to have here other than Serta, in a very small sample size, has done well. So right now he's starting split in time with Naylor. So we'll see if that carries over or not. And Caldwell hit for the cycle in AAA. Okay, he's doing quite well. All right, draft watch list. Let's go ahead and simply forward one day. We win 6-5. Gavin Jones, another solid start. Brings his ERA up a little bit, but you'll take that start. McFarland blows the save. You don't love that. Baez has done well. He's a weird one because his FIP for the season is not great at 4.67, but yet he only has a 1.46 ERA. So is he due for some regression, or is he legit? I don't know, but I'm going to keep rolling with him in the setup role for now. Yeah, all right. And back to the draft. Yeah, Visconti is already up to very strong, very high. I think I just remove him from the combine just so I could get a little bit more accuracy on some of these other players. Yeah, let's go with that. Sonoha, okay. Just a sprained knee. I think he can play through that. Snelly with a good start. All right, how many more? Got 4 more days on the combine. Let's see. I'm concerned about Davison and Stropalopoulos. 3 more days. Okay. And we're also getting more scouting accuracy on these guys too, so I might stick with all of them. Maybe Brian Miller. I mean, he's, a guy that is not going to be a first round pick or maybe even a second round pick, but he is a guy I'm interested in. As I need to throw these guys on the short list. Roman Barteau, was he on there? No, I don't think Burton was on there either. Davison was. Gowna was not. Okay. Gomes. Gerziak. And Miller was. Strapadopoulos definitely was. Ools was. Okay. 3 more days. League interest is high. I think I'm going to take Miller off and try to get some of these guys up a little bit higher. 2 more days. Let's look to and see if there's any interesting names. Jesse Lewis, we looked at already. Wooten, Visconti, Brandon Todd. Oh yeah, Todd was one that he's a top prospect, but low work ethic and I don't know, only a 3 pitch mix. He has rat breath. I don't know if we want him. Crosby, I think we looked at before too. Yeah, I'm happy with the guys that we have in here. As we lose a 12 inning shootout, I guess, with Kansas City. Bello goes 4 1/3 strong though. Still continuing to pitch well. And in fact, I will bump him up. So he's pitching 90 per start now. Yeah, that's fine as it is right now. As we go to our watch list, we're up to high accuracy on some of these guys. Let's see if we can get up to high on more of these guys. Oh yeah, there we go. Strapadopoulos, yes. Davison, yes. And that should hopefully go up to very high by the time the draft hits. Got a strong relationship. Very strong with Caleb Burton. That's good. Yeah. And Joe Gerziak is, only improving in my scout size. Has 40 stuff. Could start at A-ball right away. Alright, Gerziak. Alright, one more day. Bam. Alright. And we'll go back to draft and all players. Let's see if anyone kind of jumped up. I'd say Gerziak definitely jumped up a bit in my book. He does only have 4 pitches, but he is quite developed and looks good overall. Where is he slotted to go in our mock draft currently? Let's look for Gerziak. 18th. So, he would have to be someone I would take with the 2nd overall pick likely to get. I think I still like Strapadopoulos a little bit more. And man, yeah, he also mostly improved in our scout size. A little dip in movement, a little dip in control, but velocity improved, stuff improved, stamina improved. Yeah, I like this look a lot. And then there's Visconti, who he just looks really solid all around. is this going to project to be actually a 4.5 star? Oh, I forgot about the stealing. Yeah, so he has an amazing stealing ability, and his defense is already quite good. 85 gap. He'd hit a lot of doubles. Only hit 32 in college in his last season, but I was at 82 hits, I guess. Well, 32 doubles and 19 triples. I guess you shouldn't discount that. Yeah, great OPS. Okay, so that's the draft combine. I guess we'll keep simming until we actually get to the draft proper. As we release these guys. Yeah, the draft will be again the day after the All-Star game, so we'll get to see All-Star nods and the draft, and then that'll probably be it for this episode, as Cooper Kinney's still in the running for first base nod. Sinja's still in line for a reliever nod potentially. No one else showing up, which is, understandable. Yeah, and we'll have to start thinking too about the trade deadline, because it's going to be coming up sooner rather than later, and we could potentially be buyers. I'd say we're doing well enough to not be sellers, at least. If there's a trade that makes sense, we could do it. I would probably look to do something that would ideally make us better in the short term as well as the long term. I mean, those I feel like are the hardest deals to pull off, but if you could find someone on a really bad team, like a Blue Jays, who is young-ish and still has a lot of team control, that would be the type of person to target. Not Angel Rivero. Yeah. See, the problem is those type of guys are very hard to trade for. The CPU loves to value those guys highly, but I can look around and see if there's trades that make sense. Augustin Ramirez. Well, who's on the trading block currently? If we sort by WAR, the highest WAR player on the trading block is Hyesung Kim, who doesn't move the needle very much for me. I mean, he's fine. What about pitching stats? If there's any elite pitchers out there, Framber Valdez is 35 and only has 1 year left on his contract. I mean, fair is Chris Bubich. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep simming. It's probably gonna be till into the draft. Who knows if we have more injuries between now and then. I'll at least stop and update in July before the All-Star game just to see where we are in the standings. I mean, currently we have a 1.5 game lead on the Vegas Blue Raiders, and worst case scenario would otherwise be in line for a wild card spot. Yeah, as Jose Montero actually, as I look at this, has the third best ERA in the AL right now. Sinja leading the AL in saves as well. Is he leading the league in saves? Yes, he is. He definitely deserves that All-Star nod. Give it to him. Give him the All-Star nod, you guys. Yeah, he's already surpassed his save total from all of last year and has about half the ERA. Give him his All-Star nod. Oh yeah, and Santana, absolutely crushing fielding right now. 9.1 ZR, leading the AL, and does he lead the league? He does lead the league. So we got league leading saves, league leading ZR. leading our division. We'll see if we can keep this up through June. All right, some good news and bad news, kind of, as we go into July 1st here. Good news is that we are starting to get some guys back from injury. You can see Garcia, Gibson, Anderson all on rehab currently. Garcia, I might look to call up soon just because Serda's been doing pretty well in terms of filling in. Why is he unhappy? He's unhappy with their team record. Okay, I don't. And his performance. His performance is fine. Okay. Okay. Anyway, he. Yeah, we're getting guys back from injury. Ferris is still 3 months away. You know, he's maybe going to make a difference this season. We'll see. We also, the reason that Anderson and Gibson are still in rehab down here is they've struggled a little bit in their rehab starts, so I'd like to see them kind of work off whatever rust they have, you know, Anderson especially. But also because Josh Noth, who was our Rule 5 pick for us, yeah, very limited sample size, but he came back in his 2 rehab starts and didn't allow any earned runs. And then his 1 start so far in the big leagues, he has not given up any earned runs. He's got decent ratings all around, and he's only 23 years old, so he might look to stick in our rotation. Jose Bello also doing well so far at the major league level. He might look to stick in our rotation. The bad news is that we've gone 3-7 in our last 10 games, slipped to 42-39, still above 500, but now second in the division to our heated rivals, the Las Vegas Blue Raiders. We'd love to beat them for the division, and given that we're 3 games back in the wild card, it's probably our likeliest path to actually making the playoffs this year would be winning the division. Could maybe sneak in as a wild card team depending on if these other guys fall off. You know, there's 4 teams ahead of us currently. And we still have, I assume, several games against the Blue Raiders left this year. Pitching wise, I already kind of went over. Gavin Jones has fallen off a little bit, still doing decent overall. He'll probably be the odd man out if and when some of these guys come back from rehab stints. You know, Shane Baz has also, you know, still continued to do well. He had an awful April, which is still bringing down his overall ERA, but had a great May and a decent June. So he might look to slot into our rotation at some point. And, you know, Trevor Rogers was in our rotation and has fallen off. You know, he's more of a long relief role now. Kind of struggling a little bit there too. You can see he was that might have been his last start. Yeah. When he gave up 7 earned runs over 3 innings, that's not great. But then, yeah, his last 2 appearances in relief gave up 2 earned runs, 1 earned run. So you'd like to see him hopefully turn that around. Yeah, batting wise, Cooper Kinney's still leading our team in WAR. He's been great. Kind of funny to think that he was a minor league signing before, not part of our expansion draft. He was just kind of plucked out of the dregs of the, you know, free agency. Why the Rays, now Expos, let him go to free agency, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, he's been excellent so far for us. He's probably been our best player this season. I'd say either him or Snelling, who has done quite well in the kind of fill-in ace role. Santana doing quite well. Last time we checked, he was leading the league in zone rating. I think that's likely still the case here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's crushing it defensively, which is where most of his value is coming from, given that he's only got a 66 OPS plus. But when you're putting up elite defensive numbers, I can live with that. Mooney's fallen off a slight amount. Siani's still doing well, buoyed by some good defense. Just kind of a lot of decent numbers. As you can see, we are now first in all defensive categories in the AL. So that's the strength of our team at the moment. And if you look at our roster, it makes sense. Cooper Kinney, 65, first base. At the positions where it really matters, shortstop, Santana putting up Gold Glove worthy numbers. Zanatello's our starting second baseman, and putting up not too shabby 4.7 ZR. Also our backup shortstop, where he can fill in quite nicely there. Could be a starting shortstop even on most teams. And then Siani, obviously, we got for his fielding. He's been doing quite well. And, our outfield, Connor Griffin can play every outfield spot and play them well. Mooney can fill in decently well. I have him starting at, second base. He's played a little left field for us as well, with negative ZR, but not awful still. If we sort by fielding stats, ZR, you can see even the ones that are worth negative ZR, not that bad. Nolan Jones and Acuna, who has definitely, he's kind of been the odd man out this year. He had not a great, but a good season last year for us, 2.4 WAR and worth negative WAR this year. Might be close to being waived depending on how some of our guys in AAA end up doing. Slade Caldwell is still hot. It's cooled off a little bit, but he had been tearing up AA. Peyton Neal's doing quite well actually as well. He's putting up decent numbers. Griffin Burkholder, he's a guy. One of our waiver claims. He's also only 23 and still improving, and Churio doing quite well as well. If there's any more injuries, which, who knows how the rest of the season's going to go, we'll see. That's our July update. We've got a few days here until the All-Star game and first-year player draft. I'll probably stop at the All-Star game just to see who the final roster ends up being. As of right now, Cooper Kinney actually now leading the vote over Vlad Jr. for starting first baseman in the All-Star game. So he's well positioned to make the team, which is great. He deserves it. And Sinja also well positioned to make the team third in reliever votes. So likely those are going to be our only two reps, but we only had one rep last year, so two is better than one. So I'll go ahead and sim to the All-Star game, and then after that we'll do the draft, which I'm excited to get into given that we have the second overall pick this year. So I will see you soon. Quick cut in here on July 3rd. As you can see, we not only won this game 5-0, but Gavin Jones has thrown a no-hitter. I said he was on the borderline, and then he goes out and pitches a gem. So, also set the record for strikeouts with 12. An amazing game from him. It really makes me think about, is this going to be our rotation going forward? I guess while I have it here, let's go ahead and see what Noth does in his next game. He does okay. Not quite a quality start. He goes 5 2/3, but it's close. And then our bullpen kind of a little shaky after that. Anyway, we got a few more days to sim through before the All-Star break. But just wanted to cut in to celebrate our no-hitter. Woohoo! So, unexpected trade time here. We had Garcia ready to come back from his rehab. Naylor is kind of the odd man out with Serta doing well after being called up. He's been worth just .1 WAR. He's a bat first catcher who's not hitting, and that's not great. And when I tried to demote him to the minors, he refused. So that's the recipe for a trade. And along with Acuna, who's also been struggling for us this year, yeah, I think this trade makes a lot of sense, both in terms of the future as well as potentially the present. It's more a prospect oriented trade, headlined by Gerald Zimmerman, who looks pretty good. He's only 20 years old. Their fourth round pick for 2027. His defense isn't great. They have him playing second. He's probably more of a first baseman type. I don't love his defense. But hitting ratings look good. He's been hitting quite well in A ball as well. Yeah. And then the rest of the trade, Edgar Ramirez, only 19 years old. He doesn't exactly wow me, but he's only 19 and has plenty of time to develop still. Alejandro Vera is 23. Again, doesn't wow me, but still young-ish, has time to develop. Chance Mako is 24, probably won't develop too much more, but they have him playing at rookie league ball. He could potentially be a double A pitcher, and he has captain, which is never a bad trait to have. And the rest of these guys, Hansen and Montero, are basically quad A kind of guys. Hansen could see some playing time depending on injuries and things. Like, he can slot in at most infield positions, which is nice. Like, we don't have a lot of guys that can actually play first base, just because I haven't bothered to train a lot of them on first base. He's got pitcher ratings too, but his pitching ratings are pretty awful, so we won't be using him as a pitcher. And then Montero, kind of the same deal, except he can play potentially some corner outfield too. So, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to trade these guys. Kind of still hedging a little bit because I don't know whether we're going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. Yeah, as we are now tied in for first in the division. Yeah, we're kind of on that cusp where it's like, we don't want to like trade any of our good young prospects yet, in like a win now kind of scenario, but we're not in a position either where we're looking to sell off guys and anyone that's not nailed down, basically. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and make this trade. Should help our clubhouse chemistry too. Naylor has pretty bad personality traits, but Garcia will come up, and catching time will be split between these two, as Garcia had done pretty well up to this point. Yeah, and then I'll have to figure out who's taking the other infield spot here. Might see our old friend Williamson come up. No, where is Williamson? Is he injured? No, he must be in Double A. I don't have him locked down, so he's moving around a little bit and has actually struggled a little bit in the minors. So we'll figure out who we're going to call up. I'll just go ahead and update you in a few days when we actually reach the All-Star game. No sense in dragging this out on camera. So yeah, I will see you soon. Well, we almost made it to the All-Star break unscathed, but yeah, Gavin Jones, bone chips in his elbow, out for 5 weeks. Yeah, fortunately, we've got Gibson and Anderson waiting in the wings. Yeah, I think Gibson will come out just because he started to struggle. Man, um, I guess I'll bring up Anderson. Um, yeah, Anderson will come in and also slot into our fifth spot. I like what Knopf has done. He's going to stay in the rotation. Um, yeah, I might as well just stick here and sim this last game until the All Star break. I mean, yeah. All right. So we won that game. Officially, we are 48 and 41 at the All Star break. Much better than I was expecting. And technically in sole possession of first place at the moment. Have a 1 game lead over the Blue Raiders. That's likely going to be a back and forth throughout the season. What I'm thinking makes the most sense as our strategy. We look to trade guys like Tyler Anderson and guys like Trevor Rogers if we can get good value for them. Baz, guys that we brought in on 1 year deals, likely aren't part of our long term plans. Nolan Jones even could have some good value, but he's been hitting well too. Zawinski, he's out for the year. He shouldn't have any value. Peterson actually putting up a good season this year. Anyway, Naylor's probably going to start breaking for the Yankees as soon as we trade him. So look to trade some of those guys that are not part of our long-term deals and try to get back, good major league talent for them if it makes sense. If we could get some good 24, 25-year-olds, kind of flip them. I feel like our starting rotation, even though it's not putting up amazing numbers, it's got a decent amount of depth right now with guys like Bello and Noth stepping up, and we've got a lot of guys coming back from injury. Between Gibson, Anderson can pitch. Technically, we could try Baz. Eventually, we'll be getting Gavin Jones and Ferris back. Ferris maybe not until the playoffs, 2 to 3 months. Yeah, there's always the chance his recovery will go better than expected. So we'll see. And All-Star rosters. I haven't looked at these yet, so we'll look at them at the same time. The roster for the American League. Okay. No. Baez surprisingly makes it as a reliever. I guess, yeah, he's put up a solid season. 2 ERA, over 45 innings. Sure. Pleasantly surprised by that. Sinja makes it as kind of expected. Cooper Kinney is not only in the All-Star game, but in it as a starter. We love to see that. Any other Oakland representation in here? Looks like no. Sandy Alcantara on the Cubs. I think we looked at that before during he's been there for a bit. I think he was there during our expansion draft as well, and I noted that I didn't want to pay him through 2031, and over the last 2 seasons he's been decent. So maybe he'll be decent for them as the season continues or as the years go on. Any other interesting names in the All-Star game this year? I don't particularly see many. Lawrence Butler, he was signed as a free agent. Right, okay, so no, he was not signed as a free agent. He was drafted by the old Oakland Athletics and has continued to play for them. So, okay. Anyway, we've got who's leading the leagues in various stats. Gunnar Henderson has 5.3 WAR. Jackson Holiday, top 2 WAR leaders in Baltimore. Unsurprisingly, they have the best record in the AL right now. Them and the Rangers are looking like the top 2 teams to beat, but the Red Sox are not too far behind. They got Christian Campbell, who's an all-star again this year, can apparently play every position except catcher, at least decently. Michael Harris, not quite on the 10.5 WAR pace that he was last year, after he was, in my opinion, robbed of the MVP in the NL. Bryce Eldridge putting up good numbers in San Francisco, on pace for an 8 WAR season, and Ohtani just doing Ohtani things. Although, do they have him not pitching this year? Interesting. So they just have him solely DHing, even though his pitching ratings are still decent. Not entirely sure the logic behind that, especially when you're paying him through 2033. Just AI things, I guess. I don't know, but he's putting up Ohtani-esque batting numbers still at age 35. Yeah, he's Ohtani. He's a beast. Dale Amador, Grisham, and Doyle. Doyle is the guy that stays decently good, I believe, and at least he did in my Colorado State save. And yeah, Sinja's still leading the league in saves. Santana still leading the league in zone rating. Yeah, good stuff. Much better than I expected to start the year. When, yeah, I didn't think we'd be, 7 games above 500 at the All-Star break. So let's go ahead and sim the All-Star home run challenge and the All-Star game, and then we can get into the draft here. So let's look at the Prospect League too, I guess. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Looking at the Prospect game rosters, the only representation that we have is Scott Sharpton, who has done well enough this season, I think, to warrant a promotion to AA. And in fact, we'll just go ahead and do that now. Yeah, not much else to say about these guys. Kyle Reed, who we had looked at potentially taking with our first pick, was actually taken first overall. Yeah, let's go ahead and sim. Oh, let's view the box score. Why not? Sharpton went 1 for 4 in the All-Star game, and then weird sim thing also played that same day for A-ball as well. So would that happen in real life? Probably not. Yeah, Oscar Felix won the home run challenge. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. He's the true kind of he will either walk, hit a home run, or strike out. There really isn't any other. He had 284 strikeouts last year, along with 95 walks. What an interesting player! Like, when you hit 41 home runs and you're worth 1.3 WAR. Yeah, let's see. All right, and we were looking at Oscar Felix. Interesting player. Let's go ahead and see the All-Star game, and the American League has bested the National League with the help of Jason Dominguez. Our guys, let's see. Kenny went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And Sinja pitched a scoreless inning, actually closed the game for the American League with 2 strikeouts and a scoreless inning. So, not bad. Not bad. All right, first year player draft. This one should be interesting. Go ahead and save our game here. So, the top 10 picks as rated by BNN. What is the mock draft? So, mock draft currently now has Tommy Visconti going first overall, and I don't blame them. He's definitely in hot contention for my first overall pick. I do question if some of these ratings are, is this really a 4.5-star potential player? I mean, his speed is great, his base running is great, his batting ratings look good, and his defense looks good. So, does that average out to a 4.5-star player? I mean, he put up great numbers in college. He is 22. We'll have to see. Okay, good. This is our short list here. I'm going to do all players. The other names I'm considering, and we may not have a choice depending on if the CPU does take Visconti first overall. TJ Strapadopoulos. It's a great name. Already with 40, 45, and 40 stuff, movement control. I mean, he could potentially start pitching in AA. I'd probably start him in A+ or A at age 21. He looks fairly developed already, and not only does he look fairly developed, but this looks like a legit 4.5-star pitcher where he has 5 pitches. He's got a great home run allowed potential. I just really like the look of him overall. And the other name I'm considering is Joe Gerziak, Nader, as his friends call him. He just looks really good overall too. Like he's a little bit older, but also has more movement. We'll have to see. Again, he could probably potentially play in AA to start. Those would be the guys I'd consider, I think, for the second overall pick. You've got guys like Davison. He's got great potential, and I like that he has 6 pitches, but low control and still 19 and somewhat raw. Roman Barteau, he looks good too. He just doesn't have as much potential as the other 2 pitchers we looked at, but I wouldn't mind him either. And then someone like Brian Miller, I don't think he's slotted to go super high in the mock draft. Let's see. He is actually. He's set to go 35th, so we don't have any comp picks. There's a chance he would fall potentially to our second round pick, but it doesn't seem super likely. Okay, so I think the pick, also Kobe Schroeder, deserves a shout out, and I'm going to shortlist him as well because he is very interesting. He's very raw, but incredibly interesting prospect with legit 2-way potential. And 85 potential power. I'm very tempted just by him overall, and he's slotted to go 3rd. They have us picking Brandon McFarland, which, spoilers, that will not be the pick. He's too raw to pick at 2nd overall, even if he's got good potential. Like, No, that's not the pick. He's only 17. And okay, so let's go ahead and start the draft. And who will the Mets take with their first overall pick? It is Kobe Schrader. Okay, so I don't blame them for that pick. That's a very tempting pick. Okay, so we kind of have our pick here of those three players that we previously looked at. Visconti, Strapadopoulos, and Garziak. Man, I think between the two pitchers, I think I like Strapadopoulos a little bit more. He does have slightly lower potential rating, but he has an additional pitch. He's got, I think, better overall ratings to start. He's slightly younger. I mean, just by a matter of a few days, really. Yeah, Visconti is still very tempting, though. The main thing that gives me pause, too, about Visconti is that our top draft pick last year was an infield type. I mean, again, you're not really drafting for positions of need. You're kind of just going to take best player available, especially with our org in the state that it's in now. But it is something that's worth considering, especially when it comes to a tiebreaker between two prospects that I like a lot, honestly. So for that pick, and because for that reason, and because Strapadopoulos has a great name, the personality class is another thing that's just like giving me a slight amount of pause, because Visconti does have high work ethic, which is like one of the key traits you look for. See, now I'm second guessing my own pick. I was this close to taking Strapadopoulos, but he. Let me know in the comments who you would take here. This is a tough decision. I mean, even Garziak I think would be potentially a good pick here. But I just like Strapadopoulos a little bit more. And Visconti, man. Okay. We don't have a legit ace pitcher in our organization yet. And I just like the name Strapadopoulos. So, heading back to Draft Central, I think that's going to be the pick. 1 second. All right. Sorry for the very frequent interruptions here. So yeah, the pick is in, and it's going to be TJEJ Strapolopoulos. Man, I'm gonna have to get that name right. Maybe just call him Straps, or TJ. I don't know. I don't like TJ as a nickname. It reminds me of Tommy John, which is the last thing you want to be thinking of when it comes to pitching prospects. So, all right, he's coming off the board. Second overall pick, Straps. And we will auto draft until our next pick. I'll do the first few on camera again, and we'll see. Visconti goes in the pick immediately after. I mean, that at least lets me know that I'm doing something right. Garziak goes number 8. Who do we have that's still on our board here in the second round? Have to ignore these guys at the bottom here. Are I make a list every year of names that I like, just to track where they go, and some of these guys get carried over to the next draft. So Um, really, in terms of guys I know I liked Davison a bit. He's just very raw. Brandon Kelly, same deal pretty much. Um, Bobby Ools. Um, Also pretty raw. And then Kaner Gomes, he's 21 already, but has pretty decent to good hitting ratings already. Could potentially start in A without much difficulty here. Okay. If I clear the filter too, let's look and see who else is out there. As we look at batters that are left, yeah, not a lot of batting talent that I really love here. There's Joey Hernan, who he looks okay. The fact that he's 23 already, though, is a little iffy. I mean, he looks like he's got solid potential, but 23 and a half. And then Gomes we looked at. Gary Daly still really raw, but not bad, and he's got high work ethic. OSA thinks he's much, much better. All right, and then as we look at our pitchers, we obviously looked at Davison and Kelly. Jim Strupp. Yeah, there's a lot of good like closer reliever types in here. Yeah, lots of two-pitch guys. Enrique Bermudez. He's not a guy that I looked at, and he's very raw and has not great personality traits. Jose Garcia is not a guy we previously looked at. He does have high work ethic, but I don't know. High movement, high control, low stuff. I just think there's more good pitching prospects left than batting prospects. So what does that mean? Does that mean we take a batter here, someone like Kaner Gomes, and hope that one of these pitchers will fall, or try to double dip on pitchers? I mean, really, our first round pick was a pitcher too. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a much deeper pitching draft. 75, 55, 50, and then Davison's got 85, 60, 40. Oh, man. Those low control guys are always tempting. Like the 85 potential stuff. It's like if he can just get his control up a little bit more, he's going to be legit. He does have high leader and work ethic, which is good. Yeah, you know what? Why don't we go with Davison? I mean, I'm I'm just I can't pass up that combination of skills with leader and work ethic. I mean, he's only 19. He's still a ways away, but he could start potentially in A. I'll probably start him in ACL and look to move him up maybe to A at the end of the year. Yeah, let's go ahead and draft him. All right. So, what does that mean in terms of who's left? All right. Oh, these are only our good name guys. So, everyone that I had saved as a potential high pick is gone. Still some decent looking pitching prospects out there, but no one that's like wowing me. At least at first glance. Liriano looks okay. Yeah, let's note him. All right, as we go to batting draft, I do want to get some sort of batting talent in here, as it's rapidly. Yeah, it is not a deep batting draft at all. And let's see. In terms of power potential, Miles Phillips has the best power potential. Sure. Also got Kyle Deal, Garrett Jones. I think you'd say that, Jones. Chris Nunez profiles as a hitting catcher. Okay. So based on this, Gary Daly, who I looked at earlier, is again young, but I do like his hitting ratings for an infielder and decent defense. I mean, again, they have him playing second base or shortstop. He looks like a third baseman to me with that arm. But I don't necessarily hate that. Michael Young also looks interesting. And he's durable. In fact, let's compare the two because they're pretty directly comparable. Yeah, Michael Young actually better than Daly and everything but gap when it comes to ratings. Also, currently a slightly better player too. Daly's better at stealing and bunting. Oh, okay. Sorry for neglecting his bunting ratings. Uh, Daly does look to be the slightly better defender, but again, that's not the worst thing, especially since both these guys, Michael Young would maybe be more of a first baseman than a third baseman, but he could play both potentially. Yeah, let's actually go with Young. He's, and then I will throw Daly on the draft list, and we'll see if he maybe sneaks back around to round 4, but probably not very likely. He does. Wow. Okay. So, in that case, yeah, I'm just going to take him sight unseen. His bonus is way above slot, but we should have. Why doesn't it have the ability for me to look at my signed guys yet? Either way, I know if we look at our draft budget, we have more than enough money set aside for our recommended slot amounts, so money not a huge concern here. Daly's going to be the pick. All right, and we still got some high potential batting guys. Let's look at and see where pitchers are at. As Josh Fregoso, really the only high rated starter left, and I don't. There's a lot of high movement types in this version of OOTP. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That seems to be kind of the new meta is high movement guys. The new meta in terms of like both who's good and who the game seems to be generating in terms of pitching talent. Like, yeah. Kevin Dingus. I know I pointed him out as a great name, like Dingus. He's a very tempting pick right here, both for his name and because he just looks like a solid all-around pitcher. I mean, he is 22 already, but we could potentially start him in Double A. I mean, I'd probably start him at High A. But honestly, he looks decent overall. And for a 5th-round pick, I don't hate that. French, again, not quite what I'm looking for. Murray, still really raw. Russell, also raw. Thornton, Thornton's raw but interesting with that many pitches. And 1.5 star potential already. Like, I don't know how that would play necessarily. Yeah, let's keep an eye on him. I don't think he'll be taken immediately. I could probably, maybe look to snag him in a round or two. Yeah, I honestly like Dingus. I like Dingus. What can I say? He's going to be our 5th round pick. All right. Do we have any other interesting picks coming up? Giovanni Dozier. He's got low IQ, but he's somewhat raw. But he does have really good defensive ratings and good hitting ratings too. I mean, I'm willing to take a chance on Dozier. Um, yeah, 6th round picks. There's always going to be question marks. His bonus demand is high. Again, who cares? We've got money to burn. 7th round pick. Sean Selman is still a high rated batter out there. Defense a little lower than I would like, but I do like the hitting profile. And he could maybe play some first. At 6'6", he could maybe play some first. Yeah. Let's look at batting draft 2. Are there any like elite defenders left out there? Javorsky Lane Jr. I think he's a real player. Yeah, he was drafted in 2026, failed to sign, and has been in the draft, I assume, every year since then. Gone undrafted, maybe? Did he go? No, he went to the full 3 years of college. Okay, so he failed to sign out of high school and then went to college. All right, that makes sense. So yeah, we still got some real guys in here. I think this is a real player. I mean, he's got great hitting or fielding ratings and can play almost every position. Like, these catcher ratings are even like, in a pinch, you could play him at catcher, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. But he's only 2.5 star potential. He is 21. Yeah, I mean, I do love the idea of a super utility guy. If I can snag him in like the 10th, that would be great. Yeah, Selman sounds interesting. Who else we got? French we had looked at. Thornton's still out there. All right, let's do this. Let's grab Selman. And then look to see if Thornton's still here. Thornton is still here. We'll grab him in the 8th. And then in the 9th, Lane's still out there. Yeah, let's grab Nick Lane in the 9th. Why not? He's an interesting player. I'm intrigued. I want to see what he does. And Jim Horton. If we go to pitchers, yeah, and see, this is where I'd think about maybe taking one of these high upside relievers too. 80 grade stuff potentially with elite fastball and changeup already mostly developed too. Like, he could. I feel like I keep saying this about every pitching prospect, but he could legit start in AA and maybe even pitch for us this season, depending on how he does, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, and his personality traits are great. Like, he's got all positive traits, and is 21, which is older but not too old. Okay, I don't usually do this, but in the 10th round, I'm going to take a chance on Angelo Marin. And I think that's good for on-camera drafting. That's half the draft. Let's see. Yeah, I'll do the rest off camera, but I am very happy with our draft so far. We'll have to see how the rest of the draft shakes out, but I'll be back right after this is done. All right, so this is our final draft roster here. Not too many super interesting names added here. Some two catchers. Virasek projects maybe as more of a infielder potentially, or even an outfielder with these ratings. First baseman or outfielder. And then, center fielder, some pitchers. Mike Peck has good defense. That's mainly why I drafted him. And then, all the way down to Zane Burns, who was drafted mainly on name in the 20th round. I like to find guys with fun names that have decent ratings and could maybe turn into something. So, in terms of what they're looking for, Strapadopoulous wants the big money, but thankfully we had a ton of money budgeted for our draft this year. I think these add up to over $20 million, but we still had a $25 million draft budget this year. So we'll still be coming in under budget, believe it or not, despite paying out some big bucks to our guys. These aren't final draft expenses yet, and you can kind of see I don't know how interesting the financial breakdown is for a lot of people, but you can see we're still projected to turn a profit this year, more than turn a profit, and that's without even taking potential playoff revenue into account, which, believe it or not, at the All-Star break, we are in position to make the playoffs, or at least be in strong contention to make the playoffs. It's going to be a heat between the Blue Raiders and us. 7-3 are in our last 10, which helps. We have an outside chance, I'd say, at a wild card spot if we don't manage to win the division, but that would require some of these other teams falling off. We are close in record to the Mariners, Yankees, Royals, and Red Sox. So it would be a tough ask to try and get a wild card spot. Our best route to the playoffs is winning the division. And the trade deadline is coming up. So last year we were definitely sellers. This year I wouldn't say we're buyers necessarily, because we are still, not guaranteed a playoff spot. But I think we're going to try to make some trades that make sense. I think I mentioned this before earlier, but, someone like Nolan Jones, who's playing and hitting well for us, like, we might look to keep. Tyler Anderson. I think our pitchers on one-year deals, Anderson, Rogers, Baz, Benua in the minors if there's interest. We wouldn't mind losing those guys necessarily, because we do have a decent amount of depth at pitching. But we're not going to make these big win now, mortgage the future type of moves that you sometimes see teams make. Scott Sharpton, Eddie Rainville, Gavin Jones. These are guys that we're definitely be keeping on our team. Gerald Zimmerman, we just got in a trade from the Yankees, and he's, very small sample size, but crushing A-ball right now. And you can see I do have him at first base now. As far as our recent draftees, Strapadopoulous and Dingus will probably start at A-ball somewhere. everyone else will start lower than that. We might also look to the minor league schedule is kind of weird, where the Trojans, I think, are technically in the playoffs for the Arizona Complex League, and then they're done for the year after just 3 more games. Well, I don't know exactly how that works out, but yeah, the I'll probably look to move some guys up to A ball just so they continue getting playing time. Eddie Rainville is a maybe. He has unfortunately already fallen off quite a bit, but his control is improving. And if we can continue to see improvement in that control, I think, despite his potential going down, a lot of these top prospect types, you'll see potential go down and then back up as they get ratings, as they get development. It's. I've also heard some reports on this version of the game that guys aren't developing as well as they have in past versions, so we'll have to see how that kind of turns out. Yeah, but that, I think, about does it for this episode. And DeJesus, I'll just quickly, I guess, before calling it this episode, I'll run through our prospects here and see if I can highlight some names that make some sense to highlight. Obviously, we talked a lot about the guys that are in MLB right now. In fact, some of these guys, J.R. Ritchie is, no longer on our team. Yeah. And doing okay for the Mariners. So, 26-year-olds, get those guys off, and then anyone that's not currently in our org, which might be a few of these guys. Yeah, Henry Lane, we actually lost waivers, and I forgot to, I think, mention that. He's doing okay for Minnesota, but, I'm not super torn up about that. And yeah, I thought I saw another name in there that was no longer on our team. But anyway, Lane. All right, we'll start at the low minors and go up. Some guys, several of these guys we just drafted, but I know Justin Grant had a good season. I'll probably bump him up to A-ball and have him keep getting some playing time and experience. Holman struggled. Rainville we looked at. I think Justin Grant was the big one from rookie league ball this year in terms of getting potential more playing time at A. DeJesus was one that was there and has been bumped up to A-ball already, where he's continuing to crush. We also looked at, I think I might still need to add some of our, Gerald Zimmerman is one that needs to be added still to the prospects list. But he's potentially a name to watch as well. In Double-A, we did bump up Scott Sharpton. Just bumped him up. So we'll have to see how he does. He put up good numbers in A+, continuing to develop. So we'll see, hopefully within the next, he's probably not going to get called up this year, maybe a next year call-up. I don't think anyone else in Double-A. Steven Martinez, doing okay. He's looking to be solid, but not spectacular. And then in Triple-A, Slade Caldwell cooled off a bit from his incredible start at Double-A, but still potentially has a chance to get playing time this year. And is there anyone else in Triple-A? Bautista is one to watch. He's 25 and putting up great numbers. He's kind of the next man up, I think, in terms of pitching. Torin already has 2.1 WAR. I mean, he is going to be, if we have injuries, I think he would be a potential call up. Chorio is our outfield call up. Not really at a point where he's developing anymore. He doesn't have much potential left to develop, but still a solid backup level player, I'd say. So that's where we stand. We'll look to kind of bolster our team some more. I mean, I'll probably look to add guys that make sense. Yeah, but I can go over that more in the next episode as we do the trade deadline and the last half of the season as we look to hopefully win the division and make our first round of playoffs. So I'll see you then.